Hi everyone. Like I've already been introduced, I'm Sham Konnur. Sham Konnur is the name I gave myself. My parents call me Samuel. I'm sure it's surprising why I chose. You'll learn about it as I speak about my journey and as I speak about what I'm here to talk. So I'm sure there are a lot of people here in the audience who are allies or call themselves as allies for the LGBTQ community. And what it takes to be an ally. Is it like, oh, I have a cute gay friend, let me go shopping with him? Or is it about, I have a cute gay friend that I can tell everyone, okay, let me tell everyone that I have gay friend and I'll be cool. I'm like now in the this is really cool. Like people will tag me because I have gay friends or I have queer friends. No, that's not all about being an ally. It's not just because you're an ally or you support your friend or you're okay with being with a queer person. It's not just over. It's not your responsibility, like, oh, I accept him, so there's no problem at all in his life anymore. So that's not true. You can't go to your queer friend and ask your queer friend, who is the husband and who's the wife in your relationship? Come on, he's gay. That's why he's in a relationship with another man. Why will he need a wife or a husband in this relationship? You can't tell your friend, oh, listen, I know that even that guy is like this. वो भी ऐसा है. You're not an ally at all. The people within the LGBT community have been struggling so much throughout their life. And when you say I'm a supporter, and when you still speak to them in the same way that they are trying to avoid from the world, how is it an ally? We need to do our research before we call ourselves an LGBT ally. We need to learn ourselves. It's not the responsibility of a queer person to come and teach you to be a good ally. If you think you're a good ally, it's your responsibility to be a good ally. What are the important or what are the main points to be a good ally? One, be a good listener. We just need someone or someone from the community who really has no one to speak to. They need someone to speak to, and you don't need to give them any advice. You don't need to give them any suggestion. You just need to be a good listener. Two, you need to be an advocate for your friend. You need to stand up if there are someone or you hear someone talking something homophobic. You need to, three, you need to come up, get away from your own biases. Be open minded. Be open to learn new things. Be open to understand. Three, do your own research before you go and ask your friend a question. Do your own research. And now we have Google, we have so many pages, there are so many websites where you can read about. If you think your friend needs help, it's not right to point out at your friend. Maybe you do your research and direct them. Like in Pune, we would have websites like lgbtq.co.in, generic information. Even you can read about it and you can inform your friend about it. So these are few steps you will need to take care to be a good ally. And talking about this, like I said, it's not your friend's responsibility to train you or not a queer person's responsibility to educate you about queer life. They have gone enough, they have struggled enough accepting themselves already that they can't really teach. It's very painful for a queer individual to go ahead and explain another person what it means to be queer, what it means to come out. Talking about the struggle, let me talk about how an individual struggle. I will relate it to my own story. I will relate it to what happened to me. I, because of the movies or because of what we watch or because of what we read in papers, it's so difficult to feel that, am I different? Why don't I like a girl? Why am I not like other boys? Why am I interested in men? What's happening to me? These are the questions that every queer individual, or at least most of the queer individuals, get. Or at least at the time I was trying to explore myself, we didn't have internet. We didn't have access to Google. I come from a small town where maybe internet came to that place after like 5 years of all the cities that had internet. We had to go to cyber centers, which costed us almost more than $100 to access internet for an hour. And now we have so much access, but I'm sure even now people would be scared to go. Even if they have internet at home, they'll be scared to open and search, okay, why are they feeling this way? Because they'll think, oh, my parent will see what I'm accessing. There's still that fear of what will happen and why am I different? Am I alone? I always thought I'm alone in this world. There's no one like me. I thought there's something wrong with me. I thought maybe I'm addicted sexually, or maybe I'm something is wrong with me. I need mental support, or I thought I'm a sinner because Bible said it was a sinner, or it was interpreted. I don't believe that Bible said homosexuality was sin, but I think it was interpreted that way. So these were all the things that were going on in my mind. Now, whom do I reach to? Whom do I talk to? We didn't have anyone to share. We didn't have anyone to speak to. Even when I moved to Bangalore, a bigger city from the small town where I lived, I started exploring. I started going to internet centers more often, and I started. Luckily, one day when I was trying to access my Yahoo, there was no Google that time. I see a drop down where it says "Guys for Men." That site doesn't exist. Please don't go try and look for it. That's very old. So I see Guys for Men. So I thought, oh, let me check. What's this? This is very interesting. So I start exploring my life, and I was still scared. I was like, I don't want to meet some random person from this site. So I would try to meet someone once in 3 months, and then I block their number. I don't want to talk to them. There was no mobile, so it was landline. So I would just answer and say, I don't know you. Sorry, you reached the wrong number. That's the fear I had in me. But it just kept building so much mental stress. I was just getting depressed because I was hiding myself. No one knew about me, nor my best friend, not even a single person. It was like I'm an onion, like with so many layers, and only I know about myself deep inside me, what's happening to me. But it had to just burst one day because it was just filling and filling and filling all the sorrow or struggle that was going through. I decided once that let me go find people like me because this is not happening. I'm not able to live my life like this. I'm struggling. I know I'm a sinner, but I need to do something about this. Talking about this, I'll talk to you why I changed my name. And so now this part talks about that. So I went in search of curing myself. I started hunting on streets of Bangalore. So while walking, I got into a church. It was a Mormon church. And I was so happy to see. When I entered, I saw young people playing badminton. Some were playing table tennis. And table tennis was right inside the main church where the masses happen on Sunday. So it was emptied, and they had set up for youngsters to keep coming there and playing. So it was a happy place for me. I thought, okay, at least there are youngsters here. People will understand me. And at that time, 2010, 2000, sorry, 2008, people didn't speak about homosexuality. No churches spoke, no colleges spoke, no corporate spoke like everyone speaks today. But that church did speak. There were some foreigners who come to the church and they would give testimonials saying that, oh, my son has come to this church and now he's married and happy. He's cured of homosexuality. So that made me more excited. Wow, so I'll get cured too. Let me continue going. But it was a very different scenario. The whole story changed. My family kicked me out of house, not because I was gay, because I was going to a cult. That's what they believed. Mormon church was a cult. And my struggle was completely different now. Now I was like, okay, I'm not supposed to go to that church, but they don't know actually why was I trying to follow that church. And now I'm like kicked out of my home, and now I have to find my own. So this 1 month of me, I was 19-year-old. I was studying BCom again, and so I decided, okay, let me go work. And BPOs were very new thing at that time, and so I thought, okay, I went to Accenture, my first employer. I was working there, but obviously you get your salary after a month of you joining. So this time of my life was very difficult. I was jumping from one friend to other friend's house every night, not telling them that I was kicked out of home and not telling them that I didn't have food to eat. So I continued working, and during lunch breaks, during my trainings, I would walk out so that I don't tell my colleagues that, okay, I don't have money to come out with you all, so let me just go. I'll say my friend is meeting me here, let me go talk to them. So this is what happened. So this struggle made me feel like I don't even want that church, I don't want to cure myself, I don't care about what's happening. Let me go and find, maybe there are someone like me or who'll understand me. That's why I say, maybe y'all just need to be a good listener. So I was looking for that support. We need someone to speak to, or and in that search, I one day went to Google and searched, where do gay men meet? And Google gave me a whole set of lists, because it was so hidden communities. People were not accepting them. There were so many shady places too. It was like some bathroom of a bus stop. It was some a park like Cubbon Park. So these were all the cruising points where people would meet, and that was more scary for me to go to a random bathroom and talk to someone standing there. So, and luckily there was one place. There was a bar called Chinglong in Bangalore. Uh, Being from a small village, I was this innocent boy, so I would go to bar at like 7:38 and sit there and leave by 9, and I would not meet anyone because no one turns up to that place. Uh, I did this for 1 year in search of maybe finding someone like me, or maybe I'll have someone to share with. And the last day of that year, I decided this is not working. I don't think I'll find anyone like me. Let me go. But let me have one extra beer, and stayed back for another hour. And then I see at 9:30 people started entering the place. That was life changer for me. I saw a lot of people, lots of youngsters like me there, just finding, coming there, it's a hidden place, but coming there to feel that they are not alone. And that's where I explored that they, I made few friends who took me out, who took me to uh, their homes, took me to different queer events, where I realized that there are hundreds of people like me. I'm not only one. And there's nothing wrong with me, because it can't be like there are hundreds of people and everyone have a disease. It's not wrong. So that was my life changer. I decided that day that for people who don't have access, I will start something. And that was the day I realized that there must be hundreds of people like me, not these 100 people who are already in circles, 100 people like me who don't know that this community exists, and they don't know where to find support. And that's the day I started my organization, collective called MIST, which now I run in Pune from last 6 years. Um, we named it MIST because MIST is foggy, unclear. It's not about educating the community. We need to educate ourselves too. LGBTI community is not just being gay. A gay person might not know what difficulties a lesbian woman could go through, or a trans person could go through. So it's about learning. It's foggy, unclear, and every day things keep changing. We need to keep learning, and life is always about learning. So we don't want to say that it's always clear. That's why the name MIST. And through MIST, we started as a family. Like what we do now is different. We thought we'll have a family to us within the community, um, for other queer people who have been kicked out of their houses, who have been living away from their family because they can't come out, talk about their sexuality. And I think all of us here, not you don't need an organization. As a friend, we need to be family to, uh, not only to a queer person, anyone, any friend, any colleague around you. Don't assume their gender, sexuality, their caste, religion. Those are all not important. Just a human being is important. We need to understand the person from where the person is coming from, or we need to let the person speak, share their experience. You can speak to them, share your experience. That's how we'll learn. Talking about this, um, after I came out, it doesn't end, or any queer person, the life doesn't end there. You, a queer person has to literally come out every day in his journey, maybe his school, his colleges. I was part of bullying someone because I was scared now. If I come out as gay, they'll make fun of me. So I would join my friends and make fun of someone else. He is gay, and laugh at him in my college. So And I know how much hurt that person made. That person was not even gay. I know him till now. I'm in touch with my classmate. He's not even gay, poor thing. And I know how much difficult it is for him to bear that. Imagine me saying it. I was also being like, okay, I know it's bad, but I want to escape that same bullying that that person is going through. So that's the fear makes us not come out or not talk. Um, After college, even at workplaces, we need to come out at workplaces because people ask us questions like, why are you not married? Do you have a girlfriend? Those are general questions. Why do we assume that everyone are straight in world? Why can't we ask, do you have a partner? Partner could be girl or a boy. The person who is answering will choose. So these are some of the things we need to also keep in mind. Um, I also, before I started working with Miss full time, I worked for a company called ADP. It's a payroll firm, accounting, where we had lots of clients who's like from the US, whose names were like Gay Men's Health Association, some NGOs who work for Gay Men's Health, and these things. But when I joined here in Pune, I was so scared to be who I am myself because everyone were talking about family, not even girlfriend, boyfriend. Forget girlfriend, boyfriend. It was about family, and each managers were married to each other. These were the things that I got scared of. And the only way I could do is I could just call up the US counterparts, VP, and say, I'm very scared. It's just 15 days, but I don't want to stay in this company. I want to leave this company because this is what's happening. But I was so lucky that they supported me, and I became the director of ADP Pride, which is a BRG, a network for employees to make them feel safe at work. That was a very great moment for me because I could meet so many top heads of the companies, VPs, directors, not of just this department, but the entire company. I think this is the message I would like to share at the end is like, if you want to change, you need to bring the change. No one else is going to bring the change for you. I think we need to stand up for ourselves, and that's going to make the change for the society because the change comes from within, not from outside. And the change is not the people, change is us. So I think we need to be the one who is taking that step to make the change. You will find difficulties. You will be scared of losing your job. You will be scared of being terminated from colleges if your college is homophobic. But till one person takes this step, no one else is going to stand behind you. No one else is going to step up and say, I will fight for you. And I think that is where I am here today, standing, talking to you all. I have my own organization, Mr. Gay India 2020. And I think I want to see all of you all, not Mr. Gay India, maybe in the field that you all want to be there. I would like to say that stand for yourself, that's my message, and do what you like to do. Be brave. Thank you.